Here's the truth. I believe there's one valuable lesson in life that we all forget. And the implications of forgetting this lesson is the difference between feeling stuck where you are or actually taking a stand, fighting for what you know, and getting out of that area that we were stuck in. Hey, I'm David. Welcome to the Pause Pod. Let's pause for a second. Let's talk about it. And there's an interesting psychological theory called the spotlight effect. Whenever that just means that the center of attention is always on us. That means that everything we do, we feel like people are watching. Everything we say, we feel like everybody's listening. And it gets us in a position where we think all things point to us. But the reality of life is that everything is opposite. The one life lesson that I want to remind us is this. It's simple. And nobody cares. Nobody is coming to save you. I was reminded of that this week. As you know, when it comes to the channel, this is just about me moving to a new city, taking a new job, living in a new place with new adventures, trying to find new friends. And in the midst of all that, trying to find myself, 40-year-old guy hitting the reset button, starting over. So yeah, I made the move. Everything is good. And then in the last couple weeks, it just seems like things changed. What was once certain became uncertain. As you all know, the whole job situation in the DMV is a little bit shaky right now. Nobody knows what is going to be either their first day, their whatever, however long their career was, or their last day. There's mass layoffs right now. There's the housing market is just, people are selling houses like nobody knows anything. The only consistent is that it is uncertain at best. In the middle of all that, I kind of found myself just being a little overwhelmed, just like, man, I just made this new decision to come to this new city. Man, am I going to lose it all? It's a tough decision, tough thought process. And in the middle of that, it just made me realize one simple fact. Nobody's coming to my door to say, hey, I'm here to save you. Nobody's going to send me this letter to say, hey, don't worry about it. We're going to take care of you. At the end of the day, nobody's coming to save you. That's the lesson this week that I had to learn. But in reminding myself that, it gave me the freedom to know that instead of depending on somebody else or hoping for somebody else, man, there's strength, power in being able to depend and trust on and in myself. That's been so interesting to me because instead of just worrying about, hey, is this my last day? No, now I walk into the door saying, this will be the day that I show up. Instead of walking in the door and just not knowing, hey, are we going to get sent back home? Nah. Now is the day I get to show up. And in the midst of all this, I'm just reminded of this. I can't control tomorrow, but today will be the day that I be the best me. I take the best stand to do and walk and be the person that I want to be. Like, I'm just not going to quit. Nobody's coming to save me. Man, but there's power in knowing that you have the opportunity to do your best and be your best and show up. And regardless of what happens, you have the opportunity to be the hero in your own story. So I don't know what life looks like for you, whether it's the uncertainty of a job, the uncertainty of a relationship, the uncertainty of just where you are, the uncertainty of trying to figure out what school you want to go to, or whatever it is, man. There's so many different situations that we're just stuck. But if we consistently wait for a handout, if we consistently wait for somebody to just knock on our door and say, hey, I'm here to save you, all that's going to do is lead to being stuck, lead to staying where we are. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. I don't know what next week's going to bring. I don't know what's going to happen in the next hour. There's one thing I do know. I know regardless of what I'm facing, I'm going to show up. I know regardless of how tough the situation is, I'm going to do my best. I know regardless of what I'm going to face, I'm going to fight. So when you find yourself in a situation, and yes, it's going to get hard, and no, I'm not saying you won't have cheerleaders and people in your corner rooting you on, but at the end of everything, man, nobody is really coming to save you. You have to depend on yourself and hold yourself accountable. So when these situations happen, these three little just thought processes that I had just really encouraged me this week, and I just want to leave them with you. First thing is this: embrace the situation, don't run from it. Embrace the situation, don't run from it. When you run from it, you delay it. When you delay it, you stay where you are. The last thing you want to do is stay where you are when you feel stuck. Man, fight, push, drive, do whatever you can. Just make one step. Embrace the situation. Next, you got to trust in yourself. And for some of us, that is difficult. Because for some of us, we feel like we've let ourselves down more times than not in life. That might be the case. That might be the case where there is something that you wanted for and you didn't get it. Don't worry so much on the end goal. Worry about the process. Man, you've been through a lot. You can trust yourself to take one step. Sometimes it's not about the outcome of the matter. It's the process of building that grit, building that fight. Trust yourself. Because when you don't trust yourself, man, how are you going to fight for yourself? Embrace the situation. Trust yourself. You've been through a lot. You can do this. Embrace, trust, and the last thing, show up. That doesn't mean act like nothing is happening. That means that every time you have the opportunity to show up, keep it 100. Stand 10 toes down on business. Do your best. Show up. Don't just go through the motions. Man, do it as if you are depending and trusting and counting on yourself. I'm telling you right now. You embrace the situation for what it is, understanding that you can't control what's happening. The only thing that you can control is your response. Man, that helps you look at what you're facing just a little bit differently. Trusting yourselves is the opportunity to build up that confidence and be like, you know what? I've been through some things. I think I can get through this. And once you realize you can't control it, you realize the situation, you realize you've been through some things, you can trust yourself. Man, once you start showing up and you consistently showing up, you'll realize that regardless of what you're facing, you're going to be okay. Situation may not be okay. Situation may be okay, but you're going to be okay because you're going to show up. And the minute those become consistent rhythms in our lives, man, we begin to less worry about who's coming to save us, to standing 10 toes down and say, you know what? I'm going to give it my all. And I have the opportunity to be the hero in my own story. The cool thing about stories is that this is just a chapter. You got a whole book to finish. Anyhow, if you like this content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm new here in the DMV. I'm telling you right now, just been planning out what the next videos are going to look like. I'm going to talk about life in the DMV, what it's like to make friends, what's dating like, cool things to do in DC, DMV, just whatever it is. Yo, I'm going to throw it out there. Hitting the reset button was not an easy task, but I decided to do it. And I know I'm not the only person out there that might be I'm in my 40s, I might be that's in their 40s or even in any stage of life that's saying, man, I want to restart, but I just don't know how. Well, I'm here to tell you. And one thing I've learned from this restart is what this whole video is about, is that, hey, nobody's here to save you, but you have the opportunity to be the hero of your own story. So don't be scared to stand up, trust yourself, embrace the situation, but don't forget, always show up. All right, y'all, that's the Pause Pod. I'll let you later. Peace.